Hello Year 2, our comprehension this week is Little Red Riding Hood. I'm going to read through the text first and then we're going to answer the questions all together. Little Red Riding Hood. Your old granny isn't well, Little Red Riding Hood's mother told her. Take this basket of food and make sure she is feeling better. Little Red Riding Hood was a good girl who did as she was told. She didn't know that at the same time a big bad wolf was wandering in the forest. He was very hungry and very grumpy. As luck would have it, the girl bumped into the wolf halfway along the forest path. "Hello, little girl," he said with a grin. "Where are you heading today?" "I'm off to take this basket of food to my granny. She's feeling a bit under the weather." "What a good girl you are," the wolf said. Red didn't notice him licking his lips. "Where does your granny live?" "In the small cottage next to the stream. She's very alone out there," said Little Red Riding Hood. They said goodbye and were soon on their way. Unfortunately, the wolf knew a shortcut, and he arrived long before the small girl. He slipped into Granny's cottage through an open window. Once inside, he swallowed her up whole, put on her nightdress, and hid in her bed. When Little Red Riding Hood knocked on the door a while later, the wolf told her to come in. "Why, Granny, what big eyes you have today," she said curiously. "All the better for seeing you with," replied the wolf. "And what a furry chin." Little Red Riding Hood was suspicious. That's part of my illness," the wolf replied quickly. "And I'm sure your teeth aren't usually that sharp. You're that horrible wolf from the forest." She ran from the cottage. Not far away was a woodcutter who heard her cries for help. He sprinted over to the cottage and she explained what had happened. "That's an outrage," he cried, and burst into the cottage with his axe. 5 minutes later he emerged again, with Little Red Riding Hood's granny behind him. Considering she'd just been eaten, she seemed a lot better than before, although it was a long time before she slept with the window open again. Okay, so that was our story, and now we're going to have a go at answering our vocabulary focus questions. Number 1, find a word that tells you that the wolf was moving around the forest. So you're going to look through the text and you're going to find a word that tells you the wolf was moving around in the forest. You can pause this now if you need some time to find it. Okay, number 2. What does Little Red Riding Hood say that tells you that the granny wasn't feeling well? So what does she say that means Granny wasn't feeling well? Again, you can pause it if you need to. Number 3, which word tells you how the wolf moved into the cottage? So find the bit of text that tells you about the wolf going to the cottage and find the word that tells you how the wolf moved into the cottage. Number 4, which word means that Little Red Riding Hood didn't trust the wolf? And number 5, what does the word outrage mean? So if we find that word, "That's an outrage," he cried. So what does outrage mean? Okay, let's go through these answers then. So find a word that tells you that the wolf was moving around the forest. So if we look here, she didn't know that at the same time a big bad wolf, well that's who I'm going to answer my question about, was wandering. Well done if you got wandering as your answer. Number 2, what does she say? She says that her granny is feeling under the weather. She's feeling a bit under the weather. When someone's not feeling well, we sometimes say they're feeling under the weather. Well done if you got that one right. For 3, how does the wolf move into the cottage? He slipped into Granny's cottage. How did he move? He slipped. Well done if you got that right. Give it a tick. If not, fix it. Number 4, which word means that Little Red Riding Hood didn't trust the wolf? Suspicious. Well done if you got that right. She was suspicious. That means she doesn't trust him. There's something not right. And number 5, our last one for these questions. What does the word outrage mean? Do we think that the woodcutter agrees with what the wolf's done? No, an outrage is when something is unacceptable. It's not right. It's not okay. It shouldn't happen. So well done if you got that answer right. Now we're going to have a go at answering our Viper questions. Now remember, these letters have meaning. So the R for these 2 questions means we are retrieving. My I's here mean we're using our inference skills. And my S means we are either sequencing or we're summarising. So question 1, retrieval. Where did Little Red Riding Hood bump into the wolf? So where was she when she bumped into him? You can pause it if you need to find the answer. My second retrieval question, what was next to the cottage? So what was next to the cottage? My next one is an inference question. Why was it unfortunate that the wolf knew a shortcut? My next inference. Why did Little Red Riding Hood speak curiously to the wolf? And my last one, my sequencing or summarising. What happened when the woodcutter went into the cottage? Okay, let's answer these ones then. So, where was Little Red Riding Hood when she bumped into the wolf? As luck would have it, the girl bumped into the wolf halfway along the forest path. Where was she? Halfway along the forest path. Well done if you got that one right. What was next to the cottage? Now, we know the cottage is Granny's cottage. In the small cottage next to the stream, So what was next to the cottage then? It was the stream. Well done if you got that one right. Next, why was it unfortunate that the wolf knew a shortcut? Well, it was unfortunate because it meant that he got there before Little Red Riding Hood. So well done if you got that right. It meant that he got there first. Why did Little Red Riding Hood speak curiously to the wolf? It was because something seemed different. Something wasn't right with Granny, was it? And she knew. And the last one, what happened when the woodcutter went into the cottage? He freed Granny, he defeated the wolf, he saved her. Well done if you got any of those answers right. Good job today, guys. You've worked really hard. Well done.